For generations, farmers walked across it without ceremony. It looked dark, heavy, and unremarkable, especially compared to freshly cleared land. Outsiders called it dirt. Local people guarded it. Archaeologists later realized this soil was not natural at all. It was engineered deliberately, layer by layer, over centuries. In places where surrounding ground was thin and exhausted, this soil kept producing without decline. Crops stayed resilient. Yields stayed stable. The recipe behind it carried nearly 1,000 years of accumulated understanding about how land truly works. This guide unpacks that lost soil recipe, why it endured when others failed, and how its principles still apply today. Why ancient communities treated soil as a cultural artifact. In long-settled societies, soil was not separate from identity. Fields were inherited, not abandoned. Fertility was something you built for descendants rather than extracted for profit. This mindset shaped how soil was made. Instead of relying on a single amendment, ancient farmers layered materials gradually. Every household activity fed the land. Cooking fires, food scraps, broken pottery, bones, ash, plant waste, and charcoal all returned to the soil in controlled ways. Over generations, this created a living archive of daily life encoded into the ground itself. So, what made this soil different from ordinary earth, you might wonder? The defining feature of this lost soil was, well, stability. Unlike compost-rich soils that tend to fluctuate wildly, this soil resisted collapse. Organic matter actually persisted instead of just burning away. Nutrients, you see, stayed available without leaching out. And the biology, it truly thrived, but without becoming chaotic. The secret, as it turns out, was not just one ingredient, but rather how the ingredients were combined and aged together. Charred carbon worked to stabilize organic matter. Minerals helped to balance the acidity. And organic waste, well, it fed the microbes slowly, instead of dumping everything in all at once. This balance allowed the soil to improve with time, rather than degrade. Why charcoal played a central role in the recipe. Charcoal was not used as fuel residue. It was used intentionally as a soil framework. When plant material is burned slowly with limited oxygen, the resulting carbon becomes porous and chemically stable. Ancient farmers understood through observation that soil containing this carbon held fertility far longer. Charcoal, you see, absorbs nutrients, shelters microbes, and prevents organic matter from decomposing too quickly. It really acts as a memory bank for fertility. Modern science calls this stable carbon, but you know, ancient farmers simply knew it worked. How, over time, everyday waste became a soil-building resource. Nothing organic was wasted. Food scraps, bones, fish remains, and crop residues were added incrementally, you know. Ash from cooking fires provided potassium and calcium, which is rather important. Broken pottery improved drainage and microbial habitat. Even sweepings from living spaces ended up in the soil. Crucially, materials were not dumped all at once. They were layered slowly over time, bit by bit. This prevented toxicity and allowed soil life to integrate each input fully. This slow accumulation is why the soil became richer with age. Now, why did this soil resist exhaustion for centuries? Well, that's a question that has fascinated many, and the answer lies in the remarkable way it maintained its vitality over such a long period. You see, most soils decline because nutrients leave faster than they return. But in this case, this soil actually reversed that equation. Nutrients cycled locally and repeatedly. Losses were minimal, really, because carbon and clay held minerals in place, keeping the goodness right where it was needed. Biology flourished here without those familiar boom and bust cycles. Fungi, bacteria, insects and roots. Together they formed a stable web that, well, repaired itself continuously. This living network kept the soil thriving year after year. When drought or flooding occurred, the soil buffered extremes instead of collapsing. You know, it's quite remarkable how resilient those old soils were. How modern growers can apply these principles without copying blindly. It's really about adapting the wisdom, not just mimicking the past. The lesson is not to recreate ancient soil exactly, but to understand its logic. Build soil slowly, use diverse inputs, stabilize organic matter instead of chasing rapid decomposition. It's all about patience and, well, respecting the process. In practical terms, this means, incorporating small amounts of charcoal that has been charged with nutrients not raw. It also means returning kitchen waste through composting rather than just disposal. And, well, it means adding minerals thoughtfully and allowing soil life to integrate them over time. Surface application and patience, honestly, matter more than mixing and force. Why do modern systems struggle to replicate this success, you might wonder? Industrial agriculture, tends to prioritize speed and uniformity. But this ancient soil was really the opposite. It was local, irregular, and, well, slow. Its success actually depended on long timelines and a good deal of restraint. These days, modern inputs often overwhelm soil biology instead of actually supporting it. Nutrients arrive without any real structure. Organic matter, it just decomposes too fast. And carbon, well, it escapes instead of staying locked in place. The lost recipe, interestingly enough, worked because it respected soil as a system, not merely as a substrate. What this soil really teaches us is about resilience and, well, permanence. The most striking fact, honestly, is that this soil still exists today, long after the cultures that made it disappeared. It continues to grow crops without any external input. That alone, I think, should command our attention. It proves quite clearly that soil can be built to outlast civilizations when managed with intention. Well, this is not nostalgia. It is, in fact, evidence. Why this knowledge matters now more than ever. As soils degrade worldwide, solutions focused on inputs will fail. The answer lies in rebuilding foundations, not feeding symptoms. Ancient farmers left behind a blueprint disguised as dirt. Those who dismissed it missed the point. Those who studied it found a path forward. If you value soil wisdom that spans centuries and methods that strengthen land instead of draining it, subscribe to Botanical Bliss and share this guide with others ready to relearn what soil truly is.